Good day, my dear postgraduate students. Any guess what this class is going to be about? It is the number of topics covered for postgraduates by R.A.T.S. So far, so good. Also, I would like you people to guess what these rats are nibbling at. Do you know the topics that have been covered? Okay. How do you reach those topics? How do you compile them? And how do you count them? How do you reach them, compile them, and count them? Good. I gave a mnemonic as suckling rats for this presentation. We'll first go to the technical or practical topics. You people are free to go through these topics. There will be a little bit of overlap here and there. The renal biopsy, for instance, can come elsewhere. I am not going to go through this list, rather you should. These all have been covered. And what about the practicals? The PG practical. These are a set of topics that have been covered. Starting from the urine examination down to the weight fights and the reticulin stings. I would like you people to meticulously jot down the topics that have been covered. And I will tell you the mode of approach to these topics. And then come the recent advances. The recent advances, we all know, is a nightmare for us. Out of the 4 papers, one is exclusively on recent advances. And secondly, you find that a good number of questions from the other papers also come under the recent advances. For example, I had taken a class on prions, which comes under the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease or Kuru. And that finds its way back to recent advance 11. The early gastric carcinoma and atherosclerosis are even more earlier. So, in other words, as the recent advances become more and more well established, they find a space in the text. So much so that if you do complete the topics of the entire set of recent advances, you have completed the portions. Having said that, look at the list of topics that I have covered from the recent advances. For some, I had purposely mentioned the number. The Barrett's esophagus 23. Because there is another Barrett's esophagus in 22 also. So these are all the topics, and I have also included one called the recent advances. Why should it be said or read? MD theory questions. Initially, I thought I would restrict myself to the practicals, and then slowly I stepped into the recent advances, then some of the techniques. Having said that, I found that there are some theory questions which require analysis and compilation, which you people are very well capable of doing. But time is against us. Therefore, I thought I would help you in that aspect. And please look at the list of topics that I have covered under this. So these are the topics: the testicular biopsy, then macrophages, muscular dystrophy, flow cytometry. There can be an overlap, as I had mentioned. Artificial intelligence, automation in histopathology, etc. Autopsy and gross. So you find that autopsy and gross are rather inseparable. When you have an assembled autopsy, you are going to be asked questions on grossing. And when you do get a gross specimen, they can ask you something about a differential diagnosis. Under this, there can be straightforward techniques such as autopsy of the brain, or there can be a specimen of a liver and a gallbladder. How is it to be grossed? How do you approach the small intestine and how do you differentiate it from the large intestine? So there will be a plethora of questions thrown at us. And these shall be the topics covered so far. And this is our RRR, Random Rapid Review. This I deliberately introduced for the postgraduates. We all concentrate on a lot of these recent advances, the classifications, and the technologies that are there for the postgraduates, that we comfortably omit the undergraduate portions, which again come to haunt us. Therefore, I thought I would introduce, rather I had taken the classes, it is a replay for you people. You go through it, again go back to Robbins, and it is over. Look at these. For example, atherosclerosis, amyloidosis, edema and infarction, shock, peptic ulcer. There is absolutely no logic between the connectivity of these. But I had presented it so that you listen, you go to the book, it is over. And it continues like this. Emphysema, biliary cirrhosis, aging, Paget's disease. It goes on. I might be completing it in a few sessions. I actually intended this for a period of 2 months so that it is a random, rapid revision for you. Also, there are some general topics. This can be for the first years, second years, and of course, the third years after you finish your exam. The final years exam going students will definitely find these topics as useful. The exam preparation for the theory and the practicals. So these topics also you people can go through. In fact, I shall replay this before the exam. Earlier, I have completed the PG topics thus far, and this is the continuation of it. I would like you people to kindly calculate. How do you count them? How do you compile them? In fact, without any kind of organization, it is a waste. I realized it myself. Now I have covered more than 400 topics for the undergraduates and the postgraduates in both the R.A.T.S and the GATE. But I found it extremely difficult until I went to this. See what this R.A.T.S are. They are nibbling at something, and it is both yours and my hard-earned money at the ATM. And this has been brought out by the BBC, the channel that has released it. Now, what is important for us will be the playlist. Do you know what the playlist is? Kindly, there are some people who have not subscribed. I don't mind at all. But whoever it might be, go to the playlist. In the playlist, I have compiled everything rather section wise. What comes under general pathology? What is random rapid review? What are the recent advances? What are the topics for autopsy? What are the technical topics? And so on. So if you go to the playlist, you will have an entire list. Secondly, a major advantage of the playlist is you just switch it on and it goes on in that particular order. You need not again jump from station to station. So you will be finding that there is a continuity, there is a connectivity, and it makes our job much easier. That is the advantage of the YouTube. And having taken 400 to 500 classes, this is a wonderful weapon in my armamentarium. Because we rats are racing against time. So this entire section is racing against time for students. I would like you people to kindly go back and count the number of topics. I was surprised when one student just mentioned, I think it is more than 100. He was right. There are 140 topics that have been covered. A few of them which are repetitions. And so I would put it as 120 topics, and my journey is to continue. I wish you all the best.